Hi, my name is Sarah Sypniewski, and I am the owner of NinjaDog Concepts, where we work 24/7 to find your missing pet even when you can't. And I have a little story for you today. A few nights ago, I had just come back from work or the store or something like that, and I parked the car on the street. I was driving the Land Rover, like a big SUV kind of thing. And I jumped out, and I had to get something in the back, so I opened the back door, and I was like climbing around inside the back and doing something. And then when I was done, I went to jump out of the car. But when I did that, I looked down on the ground, and there was a tiny, tiny little Yorkie, like 3 or 4 pounds. She was wearing a cute little pink sweater. I was like, I looked around just quickly. She was like in the street, like right in front of the car or right behind the car, and there was nobody. I was like, where did you come from? Oh my gosh. And I was really frightened that if I made a move at all, that she would just dart right into traffic that was like literally inches away. So I just sort of slowly bent down to her, and luckily she was confident and friendly, so I was able to pick her up right away, and she was totally sweet. So again, I'm like scanning, nothing, there's nobody around. I got her in my arm, and I slammed the back door shut, and then there's this woman on the sidewalk. I'm like, do you know whose dog this is? And she's like, oh, that's Pudding. That's my dog. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so scared. She was just here. She's like, oh, did she come up to you? She's so friendly. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't see what happened. She was there when I turned around. She's like, oh, she's always visiting people. The lady did not have her on a leash. She did not have a visible collar. I think I felt a collar under her sweater, but there was nothing to indicate that they were together. So, we had a few words. It wasn't like an angry exchange because I was a little like caught off guard about it. But I was like, you really need to be careful. I do lost pet work for a living, and she reassured me that no, Pudding is fine. Blah 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 blah. But she didn't even have her on a leash, and she was talking on the cell phone and totally distracted. And I could have easily like picked her up, threw her in my car, and driven away. And the woman would have probably never even noticed or known because she didn't even know where she went off to begin with. So, anyway, my point is, how many of you are rolling your eyes right now and shaking your head and thinking up all kinds of names for that woman? Probably most of you, right? I know that for the past few days, have been shaking my head and thinking up names for that woman too. But here's the thing. We all could learn from this because none of us are exempt from that mentality, unfortunately. None of us really are in that space where we're thinking like 100% of the time that something like that could happen to us. I mean, that's why so many of these pets go missing. I have to tell you that probably all of my cases that I've ever had in my entire career could have been prevented. Like almost 100%, if not 100%. And that's not to heap guilt or blame or point fingers or anything like that, because it's a tragic situation. And even the best among us, like accidents happen. But what can we do right now to prevent that type of thing from happening to us? And the starting point is letting go of the it can't happen to me mentality. All of us have it to some degree. I mean, think about it. How many of you out there do things like let your dog run from the house into your car without a leash because it's just a few steps outside to the driveway? Or what about leaving your dog tied up outside of a store, or leaving your pet in a car unattended? Or what about having a new pet sitter come over? Or what about parties? What about groomers and boarders and all that stuff? All of these things in our lives that literally open our pets up to the opportunity for getting lost are everywhere. These opportunities are everywhere. And so I think what this story can teach us is that it's important for us each to look inside ourselves and find the place where we are that woman and where our pets are Pudding. Because Once they get out, there's very little that we can do to control the situation. And even though like my recovery rate is about 70% overall, 90% if you start right away, like 24 hours or whatever from time of disappearance. But that's beside the point. The main point is that there's very little we can do to control the situation once they are out. But there is so much we can do to prevent it in the first place. So this video's message, if nothing else, is to right now, as soon as you're done watching this, sit down with yourself, with your family, and really, really think about what you're doing. And use that judgment that you were using on that woman, use that against yourself. And really look at the way you handle your pets through like a really critical, almost judgmental perspective. Because doing that could potentially save your pet's life. So that is the message. I'm so sad that Pudding is not on a leash. I hope she is now on a leash, but who knows if she is. However, we may not be able to save Pudding, but we can save our own pets, and we can do that today. You can do that now. And so that is my message, is let go of the it can't happen to me mentality, and it could save a life, probably your own pets.